Hello, my students. You are welcome to today's introductory video on facilitation exercise for ISL271. Our topic of discussion for today is on the expansion and consolidation of Islamic Empire in the Eastern Territories. So in the Eastern world, we want to look at expansion of Islam and the consolidation of Islamic Empire in the Eastern Territory, as well as in Africa and in areas along the Byzantine territories. So, and we will conclude today's lecture by looking at the Battle of Karbala. What happened in Karbala? So these are historic incidents that we need to know. So, and that one will be the content of our discussion in today's facilitation exercise. If you are ready, I'm your regular anchor, Professor Abdurrahim Mustafa Adejoro. You are welcome.
Yes, this is my email address, amustafa@noun.edu.ng. I'm from the Faculty of Arts, National Open University of Nigeria. Our intended learning outcome today is that at the end of today's lesson, you should be able to discuss the expansion and consolidation of Islamic Empire in Eastern territories, in Africa, and in the Byzantine empires. Then we'll cap it up by looking at the Battle of Karbala, what happened there. So in our class activity for today, let us look at the expansion and consolidation of Islamic Empire in the Eastern world. So in the East, the Muslims completed the subjugation and conquest of some territories like Hira and Kabul. So these are two territories in the East that were conquered by the Muslims. Then these two provinces revolted against the authority, and they refused to pay jizya. You know, jizya is the money that is paid by non-Muslims that are living under the Islamic government. So they refused to pay. So during his regime, Muawiyah ordered the soldiers to march towards Hira and Kabul. So the Muawiyah, who was the Khalifa, he ordered that his soldiers should overrun Hira and Kabul. So these two territories were subjugated. They were brought down and were compelled to pay the jizya. So Muawiyah also conquered Bukhara in 45 AH. So let's look at the conquest and expansion of Islamic Empire in Africa. So Muawiyah, who was the Khalifa, was troubled by the raids of the Romans from the north. Then he sent Amr's lieutenant, that is Uqba ibn Nafil, who was the head of the army. He sent him to go into the northern Africa and demand. That army commander, Uqba ibn Nafil, was able to conquer the northern Africa in the year 50 years after the Hijrah. Uqba ibn Nafil later proceeded towards the western direction. So having conquered the northern Africa, he now moved towards the west and eventually took possession of the whole of North Africa. So he forcefully dislodged the Romans. So the Romans were running the affairs of the Muslims in those areas during that time. So with Muawiyah being the Khalifa now, he sent his forces and they dislodged the Roman authority. So Uqba ibn Nafil also advanced with his forces towards the shore of Atlantic Ocean. So they moved downward to conquer all those areas towards the Atlantic Ocean. So in 55 years after Hijrah, he founded the city of Kairouan to become a fortress for the Muslims against any external. So that was Kairouan became a fortress, that is a hiding place where they settled down, and no enemy could attack them there. Soon afterwards, he was relieved of his duty in North Africa in favor of Abdelmajid. So later on, that great warrior, Uqba ibn Nafil, he was relieved of his position, and his position was given to Abu al-Majir. So let us look at Byzantine territories now. After he had consolidated, that is after Muawiyah consolidated his position as the Khalifa, he projected a naval expedition, that is, he set up the navy naval army, then, and asked them to move downward to attack Yazid. So this expedition was sent against Constantinople. Constantinople was a city in Iraq. So he was asked, the navy group was sent to go and conquer, attack Constantinople. So, and he successfully launched land and sea expeditions against Byzantine. So the Byzantine regime that was controlling Constantinople was brought down through the naval army of the land and sea expeditions of Muawiyah. So the expedition conquered Constantinople in 48 AH, and the strong position of the Roman capital baffled the attempt of the Arabs because of the insurmountable barrier created by Romans. So they were surprised that the Muslim or the Arab army could attack them and subjugate them. So they were so baffled because they thought they were well coordinated than the Arabs. So this, however, indicated an immense strength of the Muslims in the battlefield. So that shows that they were well organized and they had the support of Almighty God behind them. So they also captured a naval base in Cyprus, and they had temporary occupation of Rhodes and Crete from the hands of the Romans. So they were able to capture all the territories being overseen by the Romans. So now let's go to the Battle of Karbala. The upright, spiritual, and brave Hussein ibn Ali refused to recognize Yazid. You see, Hussein ibn Ali, the son of Ali, so he refused to recognize Yazid ibn Muawiyah. Yazid, the son of Muawiyah, was to be made a Khalifa. So after the demise of his father. So, but Hussein ibn Ali did not recognize Yazid as the Khalifa. So, and that led to another fight between the two groups. The Muslims of Medina backed him. The Muslims of Medina, they supported Hussein. They supported Hussein, but he needed more substantial help to fight against the massive power of the Umayyads. So all efforts to get the needed support from the Kufa army proved abortive. So they didn't support him, or he was not able to win them to his side. So he had not proceeded far in his journey when his advance was checked by a detachment of forces under Ubaydullah. So the forces of Ubaydullah was able to checkmate them. So they did not allow the forces of Muawiyah to move forward. So he had not finding himself in a precarious position with his retinue and their families, Hussein wanted to return to Medina. So because he could not proceed forward, so he wanted to return to Medina again, but the cruel enemy would not allow him to do so. So he was prevented from going back to Medina. So he made several alternative proposals to Umar Said ibn Abi Waqqas, who was the commander of Yazid soldier. So he wanted a peace deal, but it was not successful. So on the 10th of Muharram, 61 year after Hijrah, the two forces met at a place called Karbala, and it was an equal fight between Hussein's small band and fighting men contesting against a large number of enemy. So the group of Hussein, the army of Hussein, and that of Umar ibn Sa'id ibn Abi Waqqas, so they met, and it led to the killing of Hussein at Karbala. So Hussein was killed and his head was cut off. So it was a tragic event. So it was only the women and young children that were spared and conveyed back to Yazid, who ordered them to be taken back to Medina. So that was what happened in Karbala. And to summarize what we have discussed so far, we were able to see how Islam and Islamic Empire expanded and was consolidated in the Eastern territories. So we also looked at the conquest and expansion of Islamic Empire in Africa here, as first in the Northern Africa, then later to the western part of Africa, and down to the southern part of Africa. So the conquest and expansion of Islamic Empire in the Byzantine territories in the area of Iraq, Iran, and other places, which eventually led to the Battle of Karbala, whereby Hussein, the son of Ali, was crucified, was killed. So that has been our lesson for today. God willing, in the next lesson we will meet, and I want to thank you for listening. I am Professor Mustafa Adejora Rahim.